Around the country, we've seen calls by separate groups for the boycott of Woolworths. I'm joined on the line by Paul McNally from the Wits Radio Academy, who's going to speak to us about this week's episode of The Science Inside that looked specifically at the issue of the Woolworths boycott. Paul, thanks for joining us.
Thanks very much for asking me.
Now, before we get into the show, won't you just put everything in context for us? Which groups are calling for the boycott of Woolworths and why?
Okay, there's an organization called BDS, and they're calling for the boycott of Woolworths. And essentially, they want you to stop using Woolworths as a consumer because Woolworths are importing Israeli products. And they want to send a message. It's more of a philosophical message out to Woolworths and out to the public that you should boycott, that you shouldn't use products that are from Israel because they are against the Israeli occupation. So we wanted to look at the science of that. Like, is it possible that because you don't buy a certain product in South Africa from a major chain store, is that really making any impact at all to a much larger political struggle?
And what were some of your findings?
Well, I mean, obviously, like something as emotionally charged as this, it depends who you speak to. We spoke to Professor Stephen Friedman about it, and he's very supportive of the campaign, and he's an incredibly intelligent man when it comes to talking about South Africa's position in boycotts and sanctions. And he said that if you are going this way as a political maneuver, you got to learn to be patient. You actually really have to. It's not necessarily something that's going to happen straight away, but he is a big advocate of it. So I mean, he thinks that you will be able to make an impact, even if it's an emotional impact, even if you can't look at the numbers economically and say like, yes, this has really bankrupted a big company like Woolworths. There is something to be said for the more social influence you can make.
But we know that at this point, Woolworths are not backing down on their decision to import Israeli products. Did you speak to anybody who could speak to whether Woolworths would viably change their purchasing policy because of these protests?
Well, I think we spoke to an economist who said that really the strategy that you should use is to put the pressure on the consumer, like rather than a big company like Woolworths. So essentially, this whole campaign is about going against a big company, and that's their strategy. But really, an economist we spoke to said that really you want to put the shame, you want to put the responsibility on the consumer. And then as soon as you do that, and they actually do stop buying the products, then therefore, you know, a company like Woolworths will be forced to not stock these products, really.
Are you boycotting Woolworths? Let us know in the comments section below. You can listen to the full episode of this week's edition of The Science Inside below this video. And don't forget to subscribe to News 24 Live's YouTube channel.